What if your partner was no ordinary spouse, but the embodiment of the divine? Join us as we uncover the extraordinary relationship between Ma Sarada Devi and Sri Ramakrishna, one that transcended the earthly bonds of marriage and touched the realm of the divine. In this chapter, we explore the profound relationship between Ma Sarada Devi and Sri Ramakrishna. Their connection went far beyond the conventions of marriage, rooted deeply in mutual reverence and spiritual purity. For Sri Ramakrishna, Sarada Devi was not just a wife, but a manifestation of the Divine Mother. Through their union, we witness a unique spiritual partnership where both played pivotal roles in each other's journey towards higher spiritual realization. Prepare to enter a world where earthly duties and spiritual devotion merge in perfect harmony. Chapter 5. Relationship with the Master. And what was the attitude of Sri Ramakrishna towards her? Never for a moment did he look upon her as a wife, except for the fact that he owed a duty to her as regards her training in matters spiritual as well as earthly. His consciousness regarding Sarada Muni swung between anxious solicitude for one who needed care and great reverence for one who was the embodiment of the Divine Mother. Though he would give her earnest instructions in all matters, with what reverence did he look upon her? My very devotion to God will take wings if her feelings are even slightly hurt, Sri Ramakrishna used to say. How do you look upon me? Sarada Muni once asked Sri Ramakrishna as she was serving him, massaging his feet. The same Divine Mother who is staying at the temple is now massaging me, came the prompt reply from Sri Ramakrishna. To him, there was no difference between Sarada Muni and the deity in the Kali temple. But this was not the outcome of mere religious sentimentalism, an artificial attempt to look upon all women as the embodiment of the blissful mother. Everything Sri Ramakrishna said or believed was the result of his personal experience, and he was always bold in his experimentation, sometimes dangerously bold. Did he see in the image in the temple a living presence? Well, he must know for certain whether his vision was a fact or a hallucination. He placed a piece of cotton under the nostrils of the image just to test whether there was any indication of life. Thus, the simplicity of a child and the courage of a scientist were combined in him. With the same boldness and simplicity, Sri Ramakrishna asked himself one day whether he had really forgotten the wife in Sarada Muni or whether there lurked any carnal desire in him. Sarada Muni was by his side in the same bed. But before he could think of any physical relationship with her, his mind was thrown into deep samadhi and his body consciousness was absolutely gone. And in that state, he passed the rest of the night. The credit for this was no less due to her. Sri Ramakrishna used to remark afterwards, Sarada Muni's snow-white purity was his shield and armor. Sri Ramakrishna once prayed to the Divine Mother after his marriage that any least trace of carnal desire might be removed from the mind of his wife. Sri Ramakrishna would say in later times, when I lived with her, meaning Sarada Muni, from day to day at this period, I understood that the Divine Mother had really heard my prayer. One thing which Sri Ramakrishna greatly emphasized was the need of harmony between one's words and deeds, and this dictum expressed itself in every breath of his life. How literally Sri Ramakrishna looked upon Sarada Muni as the manifestation of the Divine Mother in the flesh can be judged from the following incident, which happened one night at Dakshineshwar during this time. It was a special day in the month of May for the worship of the Divine Mother. The temple of Dakshineshwar wore an air of festivity. Everybody was busy with the worship that would be performed at night. Sri Ramakrishna expressed a desire to have personal worship of the Mother in his own room, and all arrangements were made for this. Twilight passed into evening, and the darkness of the new moon night enveloped the surroundings. At the end of the first watch of the night, Sri Ramakrishna sat for the worship. The seat where the deity was to be installed was in front of him. He performed the preliminaries of the worship. Sarada Muni had previously been instructed to come and attend the worship. She came and was watching the whole thing. The spiritual atmosphere which was created by Sri Ramakrishna's intense devotion made Sarada Muni oblivious of the outside world, and she had already entered a mood of partial ecstasy. As he proceeded with the worship, Sri Ramakrishna beckoned to her to sit on the seat arranged for the deity. In that semi-conscious state, not knowing what she was doing, Sarada Muni took the seat reserved for the mother. Sri Ramakrishna went on with the procedure of the ritual, but it was not long before he was in complete samadhi, and so also was the one who was being worshipped. In the stillness of the night, both worshipper and worshipped became merged in the absolute. Hours passed before either came down to the plane of consciousness, even in a faint measure. After that, Sri Ramakrishna finished the rest of the ritual, dedicating the fruits of all his past and present worship to the deity. This was the culmination of the sadhana of Sri Ramakrishna. After this, he performed no special form of spiritual practice. The Holy Mother lived at Dakshineshwar for another year after this worship. But what an ordeal it was to stay with Sri Ramakrishna. Often he would fall into samadhi and pass the whole night in that state, and she had an anxious time. One night Sri Ramakrishna was so deep in samadhi that one might take him to be dead. In great anxiety, the Holy Mother had to send information to others for help. It was a long time before he could be brought down to the normal plane by the repeated utterance of sacred mantras. After regaining external consciousness, when Sri Ramakrishna knew all that had happened, he understood how the Holy Mother was passing night after night in sleepless anxiety on his account. Henceforth, he arranged that she should stay at night with his mother at the Nabad. After staying in all for a little more than a year at Dakshineshwar, the Holy Mother returned to Jarambati via Kamarpukar in the middle of 1873. At Jarambati, she again began her usual work, helping the family in manifold household duties. Within a few months, in March 1874, this happy family at Jarambati suffered a great loss. Ramchandra Mukhopadhyaya, the father of the Holy Mother, died, leaving the already poor family virtually stranded. Shyama Sundari, the pious wife of Ramchandra, was not a soul to be daunted by any difficulty. With great faith in the goodness of God, she shouldered the responsibility of the family calmly and bravely. To supplement the slender resources of the family, Shyama Sundari began to husk paddy for a neighboring family. During this hour of crisis, the Holy Mother stood by her mother and was a source of great strength. She did all that was possible to relieve her mother's great burden. She would also take care of her younger brothers and help her unsophisticated mother with advice in many things. Gradually, the financial condition of the family improved and the crisis was tided over. In our next chapter, we'll witness how Ma Sarada Devi's unwavering faith and childlike innocence led to miraculous moments of healing and divine grace. You'll also hear an inspiring story of how her pure heart touched even the most hardened individuals. If you want to discover the immense power of faith and simplicity in the face of adversity, don't miss this chapter. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.